Welcome to the 5th episode of DIY CNC. Today we're going to be talking about the Y-axis drawer slides and the attached build plate. So right now we're just looking at the process by which we aligned these two drawer slide top bits. So these are the bits that actually go into the slides. These would normally be attached to the actual drawer, whereas the rest of the drawer slide would be attached to the cabinet. So once we got these aligned using our square and some diligent measuring, we finally feel confident to screw them in. So we just tap a little hole to kind of give it a pilot and screw it on in. And there you go, hole 1. Now we do it again for holes 2 and 3, just a nice little tap it in, screw it in nice and gentle, and then we do the third one. I've always tried to be very gentle with each of these screws. You don't want to end up cracking the wood, especially with a lot of the thinner woods, like this is only 1/2 inch. And there's a bunch of other 1/2 inch ones that are just, it's delicate. So here's the issue. Since our base wasn't perfectly aligned, we had to use these two paint stirrers to kind of add a little bit of height, because we're not perfect carpenters. I'm certainly not. I'm a high school senior who knows very little about carpentry. This is my first ever big project. So since it wasn't perfectly aligned, and you can see there's a few lips that make the drawer slides not able to open all the way, I had this great idea. Put down 2 long paint stirrers from Home Depot, bada bing bada boom, screw them in, glue them in, and it just gives you a little bit of height. And that height's all you need, because it means the drawer slides can open all the way and not get caught on any of the wood of the frame. So nice and screwed in. We do that a few times, very gently because it's very thin, and we cut off the ends of these paint stirrers so that it wouldn't interfere with anything and would be able to open all the way. So here's the hard part. We have the drawer slide attached to one end, but not attached to the actual frame. And you need this to be as parallel as possible, and especially collinear with the 2 drawer slides parts that we've already attached to this build plate that you saw in the first clip. So we do our best to line it up and draw holes based off of how it is attached. Then we just do our best to try to actually line it up with those holes. So we have the points that should line up with. We make some pilots using a hammer, just to be very gentle, because it's very hard to not crack those little wooden pieces, because they're just paint stirrers. So we just tap a little hole, we get our screws lined up. We're very cautious about this, because this could very well screw everything up. If this isn't perfect, we'll have to redo it. We'd have to rip off those wooden paint stirrers. It would be a pain. But we get them in place. We just kind of tap the screws in with a hammer to be very gentle, because again, we do not want to crack anything here. That would be less than ideal. It's already starting to crack in some places, but we've just glued it up. And we tap in all the screws first to just say, is this in line? And it looks pretty good on that side. So I'm going to begin screwing it in pretty much right now. And we just line it up as much as possible and hope it works. So we sneak that screw in. All very gentle, of course, because we do not want to crack this tiny little paint stirrer. And then the third one, and it seems to work. The one thing you have to be wary of is that your screw heads are small enough that it won't block the path of the drawer slide, but it would have to be a pretty big screw to block these. These are pretty big drawer slides and pretty sturdy. I bought them at Home Depot. Here's just a continued process. We're being very careful, trying to be very gentle, not mess up any of the screwing. And this is the final screw. Once we get this in, it should be done, right? Should just be able to slide in the build plate because we did everything perfect, right? Well, no, we didn't. Here's the issue. No matter how perfect you're going to try to be, if you're not a real carpenter like I am, well, to be fair, like, if you're not a real carpenter, like I am also not a real carpenter, I want to be very clear. I don't know what I'm doing, but I try my best. There's a lot of trial and error, and we were worried here because it wasn't really fitting on, but with a little bit of elbow grease, we got it to pop on, and once it popped on, we can move it smoothly. And that's all that matters, because it doesn't need to be perfect. This isn't the CNC machine NASA's using. This is just my own at-home DIY CNC machine that I designed and am building in my apartment. And see, We hooked it up with a clamp, not screwed in, but it works. It's proof of concept, and that's all we need. So I'd like to thank you all very much for listening. I hope you had a great time, and I hope it's all going well with your own CNC machine at home. Have a great day.